Hi, I'm Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a reflection on my spiritual practice for 2023. This video is probably going to be a lot of chatting, so you could probably listen to me in the background. I'm going to show a few cards in the beginning as I talk about my practice, but I am going to show all the decks and all the goodies that I got in at the end of the year for like Black Friday sales, some things that were purchased at Christmas and so on. But the beginning is going to be all just talking. So I spent the entire month of December reflecting on my practice. And if I go back here to December, you'll see I wrote nothing. I wrote no gratitude. I filled in nothing about my zodiac sign. I started Lionheart's challenge, didn't finish it. I did a winter solstice reading, and then I did my reflection on my card and word of the year. And I'm going to talk about those the most. So as far as my intentions went for 2023, I failed at 3 of them. Which takes me into my deck rolls for my supposed low buy year. And I failed at that miserably. I did really well up until May, where I was only purchasing maybe 1, at the most 2 decks a month. And then after that, everything changed and I medicated myself with decks to cope with my empty nest syndrome that I had going on. There's worse things you can do. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I had set a goal for myself not to purchase as much as I did last year. And I purchased exactly as much as I did in 2022. But it is what it is. However, along with that, I worked with my word of the year, which last year my word was devotion. And this practice I stuck to until December. But this practice I stuck to throughout the year. I dedicated a page every single month to this word. And I set a goal for myself at the beginning of the month of, some things I wanted to devote time and energy to. And then I would go back periodically throughout the month and I would make notes about if I was succeeding at any of that, where I was wasting time, what I was really devoting myself to. And by year's end, I could go back to each one of those pages and see where my successes and failures were as far as this word went and how that made me feel. And I enjoyed this practice immensely. And it is something I am definitely carrying into my 2024 spiritual practice. The other practice that made a huge impact was my card of the year, that you calculate with your birth date and your current year. I highly recommend this to everybody. This was more relevant than anything I did throughout the year. This, coupled with my year ahead reading, was the most relevant thing that was going on in my practice every month. And this especially. So what I would do is I would have a page dedicated to that hangman energy. And I would write down what happened in regards to that energy throughout the month. So the hangman also breaks down to 3s. So the underlying current of the hangman was also influenced by the Empress, the 3 of Cups, the 3 of Pentacles, the 3 of Swords, and the 3 of Wands. So I made sure that I made space on each one of my pages in regards to those energies also. And I would notate different things of how I was feeling that would fall under those energies. And when I looked back at that every month, it was really eye-opening as to where this hangman energy was being influenced by the other threes that the hangman breaks down to. Like that one that I showed, the Three of Swords was really present that month. And, so I had to move into a state of surrender with the hangman that month because that Three of Swords was so prevalent. Also, I think the Empress was there. I was looking to see which row that went in. The Empress energy was there. I think that was the month my son was graduating that I showed. So yeah, that nurturing and that mothering energy was really present that month. And I just found it very interesting how each month it was a different combination of threes that was affecting that hangman energy, or how that hangman energy was affecting the threes. And I took more away from doing this practice, like I said, than anything else I was doing. And by the time I had reached December, it really made me look at my practice and see where things just weren't fitting for me anymore. Being in this state of pause and trying to see a new reflection and new habits really made me, or shined a light on what was no longer working and how it was just keeping me locked in a box and stagnant. So at the end of the year, when I did my readings on what the hangman taught me, the very first thing card that came out was about rebellion. And boy, did I push against that energy. I could not stand being in that state of stillness, that state of slow motion, that state of surrender. I didn't like it. And I rebelled constantly through the year against this hangman until I started seeing how I needed to embrace it more. And that's what I have down here. I can't move on in a state of conflict, that I needed to embrace new traditions. And what I find interesting with that is this rebellion and this hesitation for my word of the year, and how there's no perfect version of my practice, or there's no perfect version of life, basically. And what do I do with the knowledge? The thing that stuck out to me the most was habits must change. And down here, doing a reading on my word devotion, is to reassess before you fall into old habits. And that is my takeaway from 2023. So that's what I focused on in December, is reassessing the habits that I have been stuck in, especially in regards to my spiritual practice. Now, the hangman affected many, many areas of my life. But of course, on here, I'm only going to talk about my spiritual practice. So those habits in other areas of my life need to change too. But the one habit, as far as my tarot practice goes, is the things that just aren't working for me anymore. And the very first thing that's not working for me anymore is my weekly readings. I just don't feel that it's necessary in this coming year for me to continue faithfully doing weekly readings to check my energy, to see what's coming. I am really in tune with my intuition, so I usually kind of get a heads up beforehand. Whether I pay attention to that or not is, a 50-50 flip a coin type of thing. But I'm really in tune to that, and I usually get some sort of premonitions or dreams or something like that that happens. So I just feel like it's redundant to continue to do my week ahead energy checks. So that kind of leaves my practice wide open for the coming year. And I'll talk in my 2024 video of things that I am excited about bringing in to my practice. So I'm going to talk about some other things that I did in 2023 and how those worked for me. So one of the other practices that I did at the end of this past year was the Drop 'em 78 challenge. And I'm going to be totally honest with you about this challenge. And please remember, this is just my experience, my opinions. I know a lot of people love this challenge, and I think that's great. So I started out wanting to learn more about the Rosebud Tarot. That's why I decided to jump in on this challenge after a friend told me about it. And so I used my Soul Trees Oracle as like a clarifier energy to whatever card that you were working with for that day. And I loved it starting out. I really did. But here's the thing. You were supposed to only use this deck or this deck together, period, till the end of the year. That just doesn't work for me. That is too constricting. I feel confined. That just, it doesn't work for me. And I thought, okay, I'm using other decks for clients, so it's okay. No, I didn't want to be locked in to just 2 decks for 78 days. I just didn't want to do that. So that was my first pitfall with it. The next one was 2 suits in. So yeah, 2 suits in. I was bored to tears. I was literally, was I learning? I was, but I was bored to death. October, November, and December are really busy months for me, not only because of the holidays and different things like that, but there was a lot going on with my son and finishing his first semester. I have stuff with clients and readings, and then to do this daily at the same time, it was too much. If this was done at maybe a different time of the year, I might try it again. But I don't know, because honest to God, I was bored to death with only sticking with 2 decks for the remainder of the year. And then it got to the point, you're supposed to, I was supposed to pull the 3 of Earth card and reflect on it through the day, and I guess see how the energy presented itself through the day, and how does integration work with the 3 of Pentacles card there, and that's all well and good, but I couldn't keep up with it daily. And because I couldn't keep up with it daily, then I was doing started out doing groups of 3 cards at a time, then it went to groups of 5 cards, then I was doing a whole week's worth at a time just so I could jot it down in my challenge notebook. And so I didn't get out of it what I was supposed to get out of it. I finished it. I finished it how I wanted to finish it. And I did through all the cards where I pulled a clarifier to that energy. That was the most interesting thing, was, pulling this card and seeing, you know, how this card amplified the energy, prevented it, put a block up to it, whatever the scenario was. That I found enjoyment in, but I didn't need to do that over 78 days of time. I could have done that at any point in time if I chose to like study a deck or something. So I don't know if I would really ever participate in the Drop 'em 78 challenge again. If you participated in it, please let me know in the comments below. Did you stick with it through the whole thing? When did you drop out? What do you think of it in general? Do you feel that it's just too hard of a thing to do at this point in time because of everything that's going on with holidays and different things like that? So I like the concept of the challenge. I really, really do. It's the first time I spent time, I guess, studying. I am not into studying decks. I am not into sitting down and spending weeks or months and writing journal after journal about every card and a deck. I am not into that. That is not my thing. I am nothing against that for people that do that. That's great if that's your practice. I want to take a deck and I want to read with it straight out of the box. Cleanse it, put my energy into it, and I wanted to start reading with it. Do I read the guidebooks? Sure, sometimes. No, not all the time. So that's how I like to use my decks. So this is really the first time that I took time to study anything or spend extra time with it, however you want to look at it. And I found that interesting, but I quickly found that it's boring for me. So I'd love to hear, you know, your thoughts on that practice. The other thing that I did complete was my Ancestral Grimoire, and I wrote things down in it. It's a whole separate journal about each of the ancestors in Nancy Hendrickson's book. I don't have that book here with me, so I'm sure you've seen it. I've shown it here on my channel before in different musings. That I did find interesting. I wish I would have dumped my weekly practice, and I wish I just would have went to this ancestor practice for the month. I think I would have found more enjoyment in that. However, I did make a card for each one of my ancestors, and this coming year I do plan on working with this ancestor energy more and getting to know it more and seeing what they can help me with, what they can show me, what I can learn, whatever, from them. So this I highly recommend doing. Some of these ancestors I could kind of track as far back on my tree as I could get. The other ones I channeled an energy and I went with whatever came to me, and I did not question it, and I did not overthink it, and I embraced it. And then as they told me more about themselves, I wrote that down in my journal. Like Catalina, this is the ancestor of weather, and she told me that she works with rain and snow. So she works in water, and she helps with indecisions. And she can bring a grounding energy to that to help you move past emotions. And it was just fascinating when I was getting to know these, you know, through the exercises in the book and things that I was figuring out on my own. So I'm really looking forward to spending more time with them so I can get to know them more, because like I said, I was only setting aside a very small amount of time every month to do this ancestor stuff, and I really want to devote more time to getting to know them. So that is something that I am going to be doing next year. So I'm going to go ahead and move on now to the decks that I brought in at the end of the year. So one of the decks I picked up, and I picked this one up specifically because My plans are to do more deity work, to get heavily involved in more deity connections in 2024. And this is the one put out by Krista at Crochet Witch Tarot, but she's Crochet Witch Wears on Etsy. And this is the Divine Ephemera Oracle deck. The guidebook is very minimal. She just tells you who the god or goddess is, and then the flower association on the deck, or on the card, sorry, for each of these. But that is the specific reason that I picked this up, because I wanted to have a deck that had some sort of imagery, or that I could use as a placeholder for a deity. So this is beautiful, though. It's just absolutely lovely. So I'm looking forward to working with this next year. Another deck I picked up exactly for the same reason is the Obsidian Veil Shadow Oracle by Ethereal, which they are on Etsy. On the back it says, discover the hidden depths within the shadows and embrace the transformative powers of femininity with the Obsidian Veil Oracle deck. Journey alongside extraordinary women from history, myth, and folklore who have faced adversity, pain, and darkness head on. Through their guidance, learn how to harness the energy of the shadow, confront your inner demons, and unlock the grand and radiant power that lies within. So I thought I could use this with Krista's deck, or even on its own. So I just got this in a couple days ago, and so like for Eve, let me see if I can find it here. Okay. It says, awakening the forbidden. Then it says what Eve is recognized for. It talks about Eve's tale, her willingness to question, seek understanding, make choices, defies traditional notions of obedience. Then it talks about Eve's temptation and subsequent fall from the grace, teaches us that even in moments of perceived failure or darkness, there's an opportunity for redemption and learning. And then you may be facing the consequences of a choice or decision you have made, etc. So I really like that. I like the idea of that. I really want to use this alongside of the guidebook, see how it works for me. I can't even speak to anything else than that, because I can just tell you what I bought it for. It's unique. I don't really have a deck like this. If you have this Obsidian Veil, let me know how you use it, because I've heard nobody talk about this deck. I've heard nobody mention this deck. It happened to keep showing up on my homepage on Etsy, and I started looking at it. That's how I came across it, but I've heard nobody talk about this. So another deck I picked up during the holiday sales was the Cute and Creepy Oracle. This deck wasn't even on my radar. I had heard about it, but I'd never thought about purchasing it until a friend of mine told me that it was on sale, and I was like, oh, I have to check it out, because it was a really good sale. I want to say it was 50% off, but I might be wrong about that. I am so glad she told me, because I love this deck. I love everything about it. I'm using it in conjunction for my year ahead, which I will talk about in the next video. But yeah, this is super fun to use, super fun, and I'm really enjoying it. Another deck I picked up on sale was the Star Seeker Oracle, 64 card deck by Nikki. Is it Ferrada or Ferrada? The same one that does the Star Seeker Tarot. which I have that one. So I thought I need to have this one also, but oh, I guess it's not in order. I don't have to have it like that. I saw some images of this and I like it. I like the artwork from the Starseeker Tarot. So when this went on sale, I didn't want to miss out on it. So I could have them and use them as a pair. I picked up the Stollar Tarot from US Games just because it's cute. That's the only reason. I mean, look at these images. They're just cute and funny, and I like them. I was going to get it when it first came out. I kept talking myself out of it, and then I picked it up anyway. But I'm glad I waited. So, next deck I picked up for myself is Unlocking the Secret Garden. These were Christmas gifts. I keep saying I picked them up for myself, and I did, but they were like my Christmas presents rather than have my husband go out and figure out what decks I already own. I just ordered them myself. It was just easier that way. Anyway, this is another Angie Sullins deck. I really had to decide which one I wanted between this one and what is that other one? Tree Spirit, Keeper of the Trees, Tree Spirit Oracle. I can't remember what her other one was or is. And then I settled on this one. So I'm looking forward to using this one. I talked to someone who had several of Angie Sullins decks and was trying to get a feel for, you know, what the deck was like and that kind of thing before I had decided which way to go. This is just stunning. Another deck I picked up is the Creative Consciousness Healing card. I thought the words and the keywords on the front were good. And then the guidebook also has journal prompts with it. So, and a creative visualization for each one of the cards. And that's really what I'm most looking forward to using. So we'll see how this fits into my practice. Another gift to myself is the Waite Tarot. This is still in order. I haven't done anything with it yet. And I got this one to add to my collage style decks. And it was just so pretty when I was watching some of the walkthroughs and interesting that I wanted to have it in my collection. And I'm going to see how it reads. This is beautiful. So this one has been all over TarotTube. I like this devil card. So I'm anxious to read with this one. This one I picked up not for Christmas, just to pick up. And I believe it's Poesis. And I picked this one up after I saw it on a live stream from the Three Fat Readers, and Dustin was talking about this deck. And it puts me in mind of the Reclaim a little bit, but I'm really anxious to explore this one. This one intrigues me, I think, the most out of all the decks. And it's just this cream and black color. And even though I'm not bonding well with the Tarot of the Abyss, which is, you know, similar color palette, I don't think that this will affect me like that because this is an oracle. So I'm really looking forward to reading with this one. I'm almost done. There's only a couple more to go. The next deck I got was The Secret Language of Color Cards by Ina Siegel. I was going to pick up the Energetics of Color deck. That's the one that I've had on my wish list for a while. And I don't know, I didn't want to spend the money on it at that time. And I thought there is a mass market version that is similar, or a mass market deck, not version. There's a mass market deck that is very similar to the energetics of color. Now the guidebook, from what I understand on the energetics of color, has a lot more detail to it or whatever, but I haven't decided how I'm going to utilize this deck yet, what role it's going to play in my practice. It has 44 cards, where the energetics of color has 70 plus cards, I think. So you get 30 extra cards with that one. But like I said, I don't know how this is going to play a role in my practice yet. I am currently using it for my year ahead and liking that. But other than that, where is it going to fit in? So I didn't want to spend, I can't remember how much the energetics of color is now, over 50 some dollars. And this one I think was 19. So I didn't want to spend the other when I had something similar that I could go to and try out to see how I like it. Now, if I find that this plays a really big role and then I feel like I need more colors or something else, then maybe I will pick up that indie deck. But for right now, you know, we're just testing the waters with this color deck and seeing how it works for us. Now, 2 decks that were gifted to me from friends was the Sea Soul Journeys Oracle cards. I love these. I'd had them on my Amazon wish list, and that's where the person found them. But I've talked about having a real deep connection to the ocean, and that's why I had originally wanted these. So I am so super excited to work with these, but I won't work with these until probably summertime comes, and if we, or when we eventually get back to our beach vacations, this is one that will definitely be traveling with me. Another deck that I got from a friend that lives in Maryland is the Healthy Witch Oracle cards by TJ Perkins and the workbook that apparently is local to her area, and they signed the book for me. So I thought that was neat. I've never heard of this before. I can't tell you really anything about it. I did read a little bit about the author. I do know that they don't really have a medical background, so this is all type of like intuitive, but because I've never heard of it, I really don't know what to say about it, and I haven't had a chance to read about it. But it has like different organs in the body, but then there's like eat cooked foods, and then there's spleen, gallbladder, then wellness and love yourself, kidneys. So I'm really interested to see how I can use this, what I could use it for. I would like to go on a health journey, so this is very interesting. If I decide to work with it, or when I decide to work with it, I will report back as far as how I felt about it, and so on. So here's some healing rituals: chakra cleansing, lungs of the mother, working with air. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't done anything but open it, thank her profusely, and that was about it. And my last deck that came in actually today while I was filming this video from US Games is Influence of the Angels Tarot. I've wanted this deck for a while. I don't know why I was talking myself out of it. I like the angel theme of it. This is the new linen finish. And I can't remember whose video I was watching that was talking about this deck that said, we're sticking together. This said the guidebook is phenomenal. Yeah, for this deck. So that's what I'm most looking forward to using. The cards are sticking together. I mean, I literally unboxed it right before I started this video, and I don't want to chip them, so trying to be careful. But I love this artwork. You know, the Touchstone Tarot, I would say for 2023 was my standout deck. The Touchstone Tarot paired with the Priestess of Light, paired with the Sacred Creator's Oracle, was my hands down standout pairing, standout decks for 2023, because I was looking in my notebook of everything that I used, and this art is very kind of similar to that. So I'm looking forward to this. I know I'm flipping through a lot more of these cards than I did the others, but it's because I haven't even looked at this deck yet. So that is it for my 2023 recap and some of the new things that I got in. Let me know in the comments below how your 2023 went. Do you feel that you're going to be making big changes in your tarot practice or spiritual practice or anything like that, like I'm going to be talking about in the next video? And what was your standout deck? What was your standout tarot and standout oracle for this past year? I'd love to hear it below. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you being here. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel grow. And until I see you next time, bye.